things are starting to heat up for the Oklahoma Sooners here in the 2026 recruiting class. And as I've seen most of you guys here in the comments talking about some of these commits that have came down for Oklahoma and wanting information on the 5-stars. Well, we got some news yesterday from Steve Wiltfong that might impress some Oklahoma fans. So, of course, I think we have to talk about it today. We got to join the discussion and talk about where we think this 2026 class is going to end for Oklahoma, because I went through and I did some 247 Sports class calculator predictions, and I think I'm somewhere in the range of 25 commits for Oklahoma, at probably in the range of about 265 to 280 in terms of composite score, which would probably land Oklahoma a top 10 class. But we're going to dive into it. Before we do, as always, join the discussion. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like, hit the subscribe button so that you're constantly being brought up to speed with what's going on the recruiting trail from Oklahoma. It's completely free to you. All you have to do is hit the subscribe button. Now, we're going to talk about Steve Wiltfong, because being one of the big-time insiders across the nation, some people think he is the GOAT when it comes to predicting kids and where they're going to land, dropped a Fong bomb in favor of Oklahoma to land the 5-star defensive end, Jake Kreul. And this is not something that I would have expected from Steve Wiltfong, right? Steve Wiltfong is maybe a little bit more hesitant on the Oklahoma side, maybe not as favorable. There's been a lot of back and forth between Oklahoma fans and Steve Wiltfong, where guys are rated, all of that. We don't need to get into that too much, but he believes Jake Kreul, the standout 5-star defensive end, will end up in Oklahoma's class. Currently, according to the 247 composite rankings, the 31st overall player. And at 6'3", 230 pounds out of IMG Academy, this would be a fantastic pickup for Oklahoma. Now, unfortunately for OU fans, I do not think that this is going to be a recruitment where you're going to get a decision from Jake Kreul right away. Talking to a couple sources, talking to some people that are familiar with the Jake Kreul recruitment, it sounds like this is probably going to go in towards the season. You're looking at Florida and Oklahoma probably being school A and school B. And, with those two schools, as a recruit, you probably really want to see them go into the season and see how they're going to be able to perform. If Oklahoma gets off to a hot start, maybe goes 4-0, 5-0, maybe you can see them land Jake Kreul's recruitment or commitment. Same thing for Florida. Florida has a really tough schedule to start the year. If they go out there and rattle off, a 4-1 record or a 3-1 record, maybe they could position themselves to land Jake Kreul as well. Now, obviously, you can't discount Texas as well. Texas is also trying to land his commitment, where he took an official visit on June 13th, took an official visit to Ole Miss on June 9th, went to Ohio State on May 30th, and Colorado on May 2nd. However, based off what I'm hearing, Ohio State, Colorado, Ole Miss, they're schools that maybe you don't have to worry about too much. Always worry about Ohio State in the background. But Texas, Florida, and Oklahoma look like the three schools that could probably be in the best contention for Jake Kreul's recruitment. So great news there. If he lands at Oklahoma, would be a phenomenal pickup for the Oklahoma Sooners. And you get the Fong bomb in favor of Jake Kreul. Now, Steve Wiltfong is not the only insider to have predicted Jake Kreul to land at Oklahoma, so just keep that in mind. But another guy that I really wanted to talk about, another potential 5-star prospect that can land in Oklahoma's class, and somebody that I've seen some of you guys ask about in the comments below, is Davian Gross, the 6'1", 190-pound, I think 247 and on 3 have him listed as an athlete. But this is a guy that probably is going to play wide receiver at Oklahoma, can play a little bit of running back. I think a little bit of a dynamic athlete, kind of like Deebo Samuel. I know some people don't like those comps. That's kind of where I would have him, though. Davian Gross in Oklahoma, very good relationship here. Now, you did see his teammate, Jordan Deck, the 4-star safety, commit to Baylor. And Baylor is the school that it feels like you're battling the most for in Davian Gross's recruitment. Now, if you're an Oklahoma fan, you might think, why in the world are we battling Baylor for a 5-star? We should be able to easily win that. Listen, it's 5-star recruitment. Like, it's not always going to go in your favor. And some of these Texas schools that haven't primarily been super big threats in the pre-NIL era, during the NIL era, are going to become more threats for Oklahoma, especially, I think, in the Dallas metro area. So, Davian Gross, Baylor, Oklahoma, maybe some outside teams looking in, like a Houston, but I think Oklahoma's going to win this one. They've done a really good job. Emmett Jones has done a really good job of fostering this relationship. I think they've probably presented the best focus for what Davian Gross is going to be able to do at Oklahoma. And I think they could probably end up landing his commitment in the July timeframe. So keep your eyes peeled on that one. As far as other 5-stars go, I still think Bo Bentley, probably dependent on how good of a senior season he has, could stretch into 5-star territory. And then you also potentially could have another big time potential 5-star prospect drop to Oklahoma. Can't really give you the name yet. Wish I could, but I'm telling you guys, when we're able to tell you, you're going to go crazy. Outside of that, kind of looking at the class, looking at guys that could drop for Oklahoma. You got Craig Dandridge tomorrow, about to drop his commitment, the 6'1", 172-pound wide receiver out of Georgia. That is a Georgia-Oklahoma battle. Georgia wants him really bad. Oklahoma wants him really bad. So it feels like the parents really like Oklahoma. For Craig, it feels like this is a 50-50 recruitment. Like, it feels like this is a toss-up. It could go any which way, which those are the kind of recruitments that I'm actually really starting to like, where nobody really has a good feel on where the kid is going to land because, it's truly a surprise at that point. So if Craig Dandridge picks Oklahoma tomorrow, just know you're getting a phenomenal wide receiver. It would be one of Oklahoma's probably top 5 to 6 recruits by the end of this cycle. I think that guy has the potential chance to probably crack the top 100 players when it's all said and done by the end of the 2026 recruiting cycle. So you have his commitment coming up. Could go Oklahoma's way. Keep your eyes peeled there. I really like where Oklahoma sits for Jaden Pettit and Jacob Eberhardt. Jacob Eberhardt's going to play safety, being recruited by Brandon Hall. Jaden Pettit, the 6'4" wide receiver out of Florida, being recruited by Emmett Jones. That has been one of those recruitments where I've been saying, like, hey, like, if you land Jaden Pettit, he could sneakily be one of your best recruits in this 2026 cycle, including over some of those 5-stars. Going up and down across the board, though, later this week, I think on Saturday, you have Deacon Schmidt, the 6'5", 320-pound. He's listed as an inside offensive lineman on a lot of these recruiting sites, going to end up playing tackle here at Oklahoma. So keep your guys' eyes peeled there. You got Tyler Ruxer. I believe it's July 7th. I know it's not the 4th, so I think it's July 7th. That's going to be a big one. You could see something pop for Oklahoma on July 5th. Originally, we thought Michael Turner could be a possible commit for Oklahoma. Seems like that one's trending towards Miami, but he originally had a date of July 5th. So that makes you wonder, when he changed his commitment date, did Oklahoma already have somebody on board? And is Michael Turner even still looking at Oklahoma, right? A lot of people are pitching for him to be a tight end at their school. Oklahoma wants him to be a wide receiver. I know that the staff really wants Michael Turner, but the question is, right, are you going to be able to pony up and be able to pay Michael Turner to end up in this class? Only the future will tell, but I would potentially look at July 5th as a date where you could see another recruit pop, because I originally thought Michael Turner was going to commit to Oklahoma on that date, and then that date was changed, which kind of made me think, hey, maybe something else is going on there. You've got Braden Presley, DeAnthony Lafayette, and T-Ron Richardson as other possible prospects that Oklahoma could go out there and land. So keep your eyes peeled there. That's kind of what's going on for Oklahoma in the 2026 recruiting cycle. Definitely did not expect Steve Wiltfong to drop a prediction for Jake Kreul this early. That's always good news for Oklahoma, though, when you get predictions for 5-star defensive linemen or defensive ends. So jump in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like and hit that subscribe button.